your mind is chaotic, you get fluctuations of thoughts, like thousands of thoughts coming rushing into your mind, that makes you more anxious, makes you stressed. You're thinking about this and then your mind shifts to that. So a way to deal with all of this is slowing down, bring yourself to the present moment. And it's not easy as it sounds to bring yourself into the present moment. Something that I've realized from the first day I started yoga. So today is something that is rewarding for me to have some self-acceptance.
Vanakkam, Namaste, and hello everyone. Welcome to the 53rd episode of Inside the Minds of Great Yogis. In today's episode, I have a very special guest with me, Ingy. Ingy is a yoga therapist who began this transformative journey as a certified yoga teacher in 2020. Originally a Vinyasa instructor, she specializes in crafting personalized yoga therapy sessions to address individual health challenges and objectives. Whether dealing with physical injuries, psychological stress, or physiological issues, or even prenatal needs, she tailors each session to meet clients right where they are. With a focus on therapeutic benefits, she dedicates to guiding everyone towards a balanced and healthier life. So let's give a big round of applause to Ingy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the intro. I'm super excited for this. So I hope I just answer all your questions. Just let me know whatever you feel like. Yeah, just shoot.
Yeah. Hi, Ingy. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm super excited to hear about your journey of yoga. So thank you again for joining me. And without further ado, we'll begin. And the first question that I have for you is actually, how did your journey of yoga begin?
Well, actually, I started by just joining a couple of Ashtanga practices, like random classes. At that time, I was facing like some uncertainties in my life. I suffered from anxiety. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I struggled with my job, and back then, just joining an Ashtanga practice just made me calm down. Like it made me at ease. I knew how to disconnect, just connecting with my body, with my movement in this meditative flow. It just somehow just gave me the rest that I needed, the mental rest that I needed. And then when I dug deeper into the practice, I realized that having an Ashtanga sequence in my life, just doing the same thing every day with repetition, this is the certainty that I wanted in my life back then, with all the anxiety that I was struggling with. Repeating the same sequence and seeing how my body is different, like every day, with opening up and sometimes suffering from a little bit of struggle during my practice. So it made me more curious to know how yoga affects me, like on a body, on a deeper level. And then during COVID, like during the peak of the lockdown, I came across an ad that says 200 hours for teacher training online. And without any thinking or being any rational, I just clicked signing up. I joined the course. I got certified 200 hours. And a month later, I found myself teaching Vinyasa. And that's how it started. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with Vinyasa. I fell in love with the philosophy of yoga, with how you can use the tools of yoga on your daily life. Like whatever you need is there. You can use the yoga and just benefiting from the physical asanas, benefiting from the physical movements. You can use the tools of the breathing exercises to help you calm down, or boosting up your energy, or finding balance. You can use the meditative tools just to make things a little bit easier, bring yourself into the present moment and just controlling the rushing thoughts. So the more I dig deeper, it just opens up different paths, different knowledge. And the more and more I learn, the more I get more curious to learn more. And it never ends.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Ingy, and how you got started with yoga. So now I would like to come into this next question that I have for you, which is, how can yoga be helpful when it comes to dealing with psychological stress?
Sure. So psychological stress is mainly because your mind is chaotic. You get fluctuations of thoughts, like thousands of thoughts coming rushing into your mind, and makes you more anxious, makes you stressed. You're thinking about this, and then your mind shifts to that. So a way to deal with all of this is slowing down, bring yourself to the present moment. And it's not easy as it sounds to bring yourself into the present moment. So there are a few things that you can do. First is just to have a simple movement, just get your body moving in all directions. You can do sun salutations, you can do just cat cows, like any simple movement that you're able to do today. It doesn't have to be something like an hour of practice, just like a 5-minute movement. And then you sit and do a very simple breathing exercise, which is bringing your awareness to your breath. Well, we breathe unconsciously. So when you bring your consciousness to your breath, you're actually slowing down your thoughts. And whenever you get a thought, just try to let go of it, try to let it pass, and then bring your awareness back to focusing on your breath, which is one thing that you're focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, you focus on your inhale and then you focus on your exhale. And bit by bit, counting actually helps a lot because it makes you focused and your mind wanders and then you bring it back to your count. So what helps with relaxing and getting your mind to slow down is focusing on the exhale. So just take a deep inhale, expand your belly if you're familiar with the belly breathing, and then exhale maybe in 4, 3, 2, 1, and then repeat it twice. And then bit by bit, you exhale in 6, and then you extend it to 8. So now you're focusing on the exhale, and that brings you to a calmer state. It just makes your nervous system a little bit calmer. So if you spend like few minutes just focusing on your breath, it will help your mind just calm down a bit. It will help you slow down. And that in that sense, it will definitely control your stress. It does not act like magic. It needs consistency and it
Mm-hmm.
needs practice. It is not easy at all to just bring your chaotic mind into the present moment and just focus. So just start with few breaths and then extend, and then bit by bit you will have this practice regularly, so you'll be able to control this stress, control this factor in your life. You're handling it. So this is how sometimes I personally suffered from anxiety. So this is how it helped me, just practicing this alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super helpful. Thank you for sharing that, and I hope our listeners and viewers can find this useful. So thank you. And I would like to come into the next question that I have for you. So, do you have any yoga asana suggestions for back pain?
Well, of course, well, back pain is very, very common. Most of the people that I meet are suffering from back pain, which is like these days very common because we tend to sit a lot on the desks or in the car or on the couch or whatever. And well, after I've studied a lot, well, usually definitely like cat cow or child's pose would benefit you if you're familiar with these postures. But then I realized that everyone is not the same, even when it comes to back pain, because sometimes forward folds is it feels better for some people, just it stretches the lower back, and
Yeah.
sometimes it just aggravates it. So sometimes people find a bit of release when they arch their back or when they do twists. So these are all things to help stretch the lower back. So child's pose is a great idea. Cat cow is a great idea. What I personally love is apanasana, when you lie on your back and just hug your knees into your chest. It gives a
Mhm.
great relief for the lower back. And if forward folds or hugging your knees into your chest does not feel comfortable, or you're feeling a little bit of pain, then it does not work for you. It means that maybe arching in the back might help, which is like cobra, like lying on your belly and just lifting your chest up, not taking a back arch, just lifting your chest slightly so it engages the lower back muscles. Also, just lying on your belly and lifting one leg up, it really helps. Bridges, small bridges, not
Mm.
the wheel, just small
Yeah.
bridges. It creates a little bit of flexibility in the lower back. twists like lying on your back and having a gentle twist, dropping your knees from side to side. These are all things that really help with the lower back. But again, it's a trial and error. If you try one pose and you feel pain, it means like, no, stop, take a step back, try something else, be more gentle. Um, it's everyone is different, so you have to just find the way where you feel the release without actually aggravating the pain, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you said it's like trial and error because if something doesn't work for you, you can, find another pose. Like yoga, there's a lot to yoga, right? So there's a sea full of poses. So if something doesn't work for you, you can go into the next one. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that there. And the next question that I have for you is why do you think someone should seek yoga therapy?
Okay, so I've been teaching for 4 years now, and for the first 2 years, I was only teaching Vinyasa classes with their different forms. And I realized that I have a lot of people walking into my class with chronic injuries, like really bad injuries. And actually, their doctors recommend that they join a yoga class, but then not every yoga class is suitable for everyone. Like a group class is like a generic thing where we move our entire bodies.
Mhm.
And when I get someone with an injury, there are a lot of things that this person has to skip or modify and not able to do it because it will only make the injury worse. So
Mhm.
then I became very curious to learn more about this and how can I serve each individual in their own way. And then yoga therapy actually was the answer for that because it is a more individualistic approach.
Yeah.
So I sit with one person, it's a one-on-one
Oh,
session.
okay.
I examine you, I see what you're suffering from or what are you struggling with, what are your needs, where are you today, and what is your goal. So it depends on if you have a physical injury, sorry,
Injuries. Yeah.
and or physiological or psychological or whatever you need. I just tailor a practice for you today, and then bit by bit we develop it together. So it is more individualistic, and this is what I believe in because we're all different. And even if you have a back pain and I have a back pain, the answer or the practice does not necessarily mean that we both have the same practice. It's completely different. So that's why I definitely encourage for yoga therapy because the more individualized it is, the more that you personally benefit from it more. And it gets a little bit deeper and deeper, and you see the progress. So we start with just very, very simple physical movements of what you can do today. And we add a little bit of breathing exercises depending on what you need as well.
Hmm.
uh, of course, meditation practice with your own language that applies to your own culture and just resonates with you personally. Like, what kind of meditation or what kind of mantras or chanting would you personally like to be doing in your normal everyday practice? So, the more individualized and more personalized it is, I believe that it has the greatest benefit for you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I love how yoga therapy is specifically tailored for like an individual's needs, whereas a yoga class is more for everyone, whereas the yoga therapy is just specifically on focusing on different conditions. So thank you for sharing your insights regarding yoga therapy there. And now I have some rapid fire questions for you. And the first question that I'd like to get into is, what was the transition like going from a yoga teacher to a yoga therapist? I know you had mentioned that you started yoga 4 years ago and now you're doing yoga therapy. So what was that transition like? Do you see more of a difference or is it similar?
Completely different. It was really challenging for me to disconnect from teaching a group class, which is very dynamic and we're all flowing together and enjoying the meditative movement with everyone just moving along. It has a beautiful sense. Um, but then when it comes to being personalized, I'm no longer the teacher that flows with the class. I have to be really empathetic here. I work on one-on-one, and it's just completely different, that I have to see the individual right in front of me, what he or she can do. And for instance, if they're suffering from a shoulder pain, like most of them would not be able to be here.
Right.
Like this is where that they need to stop. So I need just to be really focused on that individual in that sense, to tailor a practice for him to only do an asana where he can move his arm up to here. Where a group class, it's like a sun salutation, inhale up, exhale down, and you're moving your whole body, and you don't have any struggle. You're not struggling. There is nothing there that restricts you from moving. So
Mhm.
yoga therapy, I have to be like really focused on the individual right in front of me. I have to listen to him. I have to be, it is not about me. This is not my practice at all. This is his practice.
Mhm.
Shifting from creating a dynamic flow, vinyasa, with a dynamic movement, with the transitions between one movement to another, incorporating the breath, this is completely different. This is one or two, three asanas, simple movements, incorporating a certain breath and just slowing things down. So for me, it was a challenge actually to move from this to that. And
Okay.
yeah, and at the same time applying it on the students, where actually they are also used to having this kind of group class flow, and then transitioning to, okay, you don't need to do anything but move your arm, inhale and exhale, like here.
Okay.
So yes, there is a lot of things to think about here, that sometimes less is more.
Mhm.
And the less that you do properly, incorporating the proper breath and the proper meditation tools, it you will actually benefit more from, instead of just doing the whole flow. And sometimes it's just an aggravating factor. It doesn't necessarily help you personally. So yeah, a little bit of challenging, but yeah.
Sounds interesting. Thank you for sharing that, and like regarding the transition from going from a yoga teacher to a yoga therapist. So now I want to come into the next question for you, which is, what do you find most rewarding about practicing yoga and teaching yoga?
Well, for me, practicing, um, well, just stepping on my mat, like whatever my mind state was before that, I most of the time I just wake up with chaotic mind and maybe a little bit anxious. And then when I step on my mat, even if I do absolutely nothing and just sit down, it just makes me, it changes my mindset. Like it changes my mind state, like 5 minutes before I walked and stepped on my mat. And that it's in itself is very rewarding for me. Because today, if for instance I decide, okay, I need to do my Ashtanga practice,
Mhm.
tomorrow I wake up and I'm like, okay, I feel like my body does just sometimes tells me, okay, I'm not ready to do an Ashtanga practice, then I can do my relaxation practice or my meditation practice or just a simple movement. Or I actually have a different kind of practice that works with me personally. So I just listening to my body and listening to what I need today is not something that I've realized from the first day I started yoga. So today is something that is rewarding for me to have some self-acceptance, to accept that my body and my mind today does not necessarily, well, I need to understand myself, and I understand myself through my practice.
Mhm.
And that's rewarding for me to reach that state of self-acceptance. And well, in teaching, the most rewarding thing for me is to see how people transform
Mhm.
from, whether they came into my class wanting this vigorous power vinyasa class, and actually transforming into listening to their body and, okay, now I need a little bit of gentler practice. I need to listen to my body more. I need to focus on the breathing and the meditation just to calm my mind down. Or sometimes if you're lazy, then you'll realize that you need a vigorous practice. So this is how yoga plays a tool here. You play around it. and seeing people transform their mindset, seeing people getting better after a chronic injury. Yeah, that itself is very fulfilling for me, honestly. It's very satisfying to see how it impacts people in a good way. Like if they wouldn't be able to move because of a lower back injury, and now they can do an entire Ashtanga practice, that for me in itself is impressive. So I'm just super proud of them all.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. And I love how you mentioned self-acceptance as well as seeing that transformation in your students. I can definitely say that you have the sense of satisfaction as a teacher, right? Just to witness your students, seeing from where they started to where they are now, definitely is a good feeling. So thank you for sharing that. And the final question that I'd like to come into is, what are the changes that you are able to see through practicing yoga? I know you touched upon this in the previous question, but if you want to go into more details, what were like some of the specific changes that you were able to see?
Well, I started as an Ashtanga I practice Ashtanga, and
Yeah,
then I teach Vinyasa, and
right.
then today I teach yoga therapy. So the changes here are with how I use yoga in my life
Mm-hmm.
and how it has changed across the last 4 years. Today I still practice Ashtanga, I still teach Vinyasa, and I teach therapy. And this in itself, the change um, is it just as I said, as I've mentioned before, it depends on how I want what tools do I want to gain from yoga today.
Mm-hmm.
And the change is that accepting that sometimes I can let go of Ashtanga and focus more on yoga therapy because that's what I need today, and then go back to Ashtanga because that's what I need today. So the change here is with what tools do I use from yoga and when. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And that is the end of our question. So thank you so much for joining me on the 53rd episode of Inside the Minds of Great Yogis, Ingy. It has been a pleasure hearing your journey of yoga. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has yet to listen to the 53rd episode of Inside the Minds of Great Yogis. And until next time, I hope everyone has a great day. And thank you, Ingy.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you.